You're welcome to STS in 14 minutes. Today we're looking at lesson 96. The topic we have before us is the Spies Report and Israel's Rebellion. The Spies Report and Israel's Rebellion. Our memory verse will be taken from the book of Numbers, chapter 14, verse 9. Numbers, chapter 14, verse 9. I read, it says, Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. Numbers chapter 14, verse 9. Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. Numbers chapter 14, verse 9. Our text will be taken from the book of Numbers, chapter 13 and chapter 14. So let's summarize the text now. Now, in Numbers chapter 13, in Numbers chapter 13, we have two key players. We have five key players in that 13: Moses, the 12 spies, Joshua, Caleb, and Aaron. Now, in 13, it divided into two sections. The first section is from verse 1 to 24, which is actually the section that dealt with the 12 spies sent out to spy out the land of Canaan. Now, Moses had to send 12 spies to go and spy out the land of Canaan, and of course, they were asked to inspect the land to know how strong these people in the land of Canaan are. Now, not only that, to also see how fruitful the land is, whether the land is fruitful or desolate, and also they were asked to bring produce and when coming back. And of course, that period is the period of harvest. So they went as Moses has instructed through the wilderness because the people are already strong, waiting for them. So they had to sneak through the wilderness. And of course, when they're coming back, they brought the grapes, where two persons carry it. Now, verse 14, sorry, the next section 13, which is actually the from verse 25 to 33, that is the spies report back to Moses and Aaron. Now they have spent 40 days already, spying the land of the Canaan land. And of course, it is time for them to return home to come and give Moses report. So they gather Moses, Aaron, and his people together. So they testify that truly the land flows with milk and honey. And of course, they presented the fruits that they brought there. But they also gave a report that we saw strong people, or these people are already strong, and they're the giants over there, and we saw how fortified their cities. They have fortified their city. So they said they even saw the children of Anak. They are very strong persons. They saw them there. So they scared the people that we'll be able to fight those people because they are stronger than we are. But Caleb told them that we are able. Let's go immediately to claim the land. So that is Numbers chapter 13, verse 1 or 2 to the end. Now 14 now. 14, the key players there is Moses and the Israelites. Now, after the Israelites is divided into different sections, so we're going to take from verse 1 to 12, which actually the Israelites rebel against God and Moses. So, after hearing this bad report from the men who actually went to spy the land, they're about 12. So, 10 gave a bad report, and Joshua and Caleb stood their ground. The people of Israel begin to grumble against Moses and Aaron that, why did you bring us here to kill us? And if they started wish that they would have died, they would have been allowed to die in Egypt and to die in the wilderness. So now they even started to make arrangement to get a leader who actually is going to take them back to Egypt. But Joshua and Caleb, tried to encourage them, and these people threatened to stone them. And when they wanted to stone them, God interceded, appeared in His glory to stop them from stoning them. Now verse the next from 13 to 19, when Moses saw that the glory of God has descended and God is already threatened to destroy them, Moses interceded in prayers and began to pray that God should have mercy on them, that if God should destroy them, the people that saw his work, how he delivered them in Egypt, will say it's because you are not strong to deliver them. That's why you brought them here. You brought them here to kill them. So they will begin to mock God. So more God actually understood Moses' part and decided to forgive them, but yet insisted that they be punished. That's from verse 20 to 38. God insisted that they have to be punished. That those 10 people that brought out bad report will not go free. They will die. They will die by a plague. And now, and not just them alone. Anyone above the age of 20 will die, so that those below 20 will get into the Canaan land, except those above 20 will die, except Joshua and Caleb, and of course, So after God has seen that God extended their days in the wilderness. Remember, it took them 40 days to spy the land. Now, God had to be moving them around the wilderness so that those that are below for 40 years, so that those that are below above 20 years would have died. So the Noah one would not see. So it's a punishment for them. So see, imagine the implication of this. So when they had gone through those, so they from verse 39 to 45, when the people had they had the punishment, they mourned greatly. And the next day, they told Moses that let's go and fight them. Let's go and fight those people. And Moses advised, they said, don't go. God has departed from you. God is not with you. So they insisted that they will have to go and fight. And of course, they went to fight the Amalekites, all of them died in that state. We all defeated and they died, those that went to fight the Amalekites. So this is actually what the text is all about. Let's go to the question now. Now, our test is already divided. Our lesson is divided into three sections. Point number one: selection of the 12 spies with the Solon charge. Now, there are three questions in that point. The first question is: what quality of character is expected of those charged with important responsibility in the church? The quality of character that is expected for those who actually hold key positions or charge with responsibilities in the church. The only is so here we saw that it is to give their best result, to give their best. So the quality of character is expected is that they must offer their best to the master, nothing but the best. So we saw the children of Israel, how the 12 spies, how they went in with zeals, and of course they offered their best, only that they could not come with a good report, most of them. But we must, as believers, we must give our best. Now, question number two. Now, question number two says, what were the 12 spies sent to do in the land of Canaan? There are two things that you asked to do. Number one is to inquire concerning the land itself, whether it is good or bad. So they were asked to go and inquire whether the land is good or bad. So number two is to inquire about the inhabitants, the population of the people of Canaan, the statue the stature of those people in the kingdom of Canaan, their strength and their mode of dwelling, the stature, whether so these are the two things that you asked to do. Number one is to see whether the land is good or bad, is fruitful, or is it worth going, is it worth dying? Not only that, to confirm the inhabitants, the population, the stature, the strength, and their mode of dwelling, so that it will be easier for them to be conquered. Now, question number three. Question number three says, point out the challenges and encouragement soul winners can receive from the spies. Now, there are challenges we can receive from the way the spies responded to this work. Number one is that as believers, we saw zealousness, and commitment. So, as believers, the challenges we see are we must be able to apply a lot of zeal in doing the things of God and commitment. Not only that, the grapes that we saw that they brought home reminds us of the unripe field in the harvest. Of course, the Bible said the laborers are few, while the harvest are plenty. So not only that, we like our Lord Jesus Christ, which is our perfect example, Jesus Christ. We must do the work of God while it is day, for the night cometh when man shall not work. And not only that, finally, we must learn to give account of to our leaders of what we have gone to do. Now, point number two: report for of the 10 spies and good report of the two. So uh we saw here two questions in this particular place. Question number one is say, what are the pitfalls believers should avoid from the evil report of the 10 spies? Number one, that when God appoints the way of duty, we must beware of allowing our mind to dwell on the difficulty of the encounter. So we must learn to do things in God's way, not our own way. So God's way is the best way to do things. We must be careful not to underestimate God's promises and ability to aid us. So we must not be careful not to underrate God's authority, God's promises in our life through because of fear of difficulties. Not only that, we should avoid exaggerating problems. But not only that, finally, we should develop the habit of confronting problems with faith. Now, Question number 5 in that point number 2: what can a believer learn from the life of Caleb? We see believers must be careful and watchful to draw the line between words of faith and those expressing unbelief in God. So we saw Caleb actually express faith here. Immediately they said that he bracketed them with the word of faith, that we are able to go and fight and get the land unto ourselves. So we must, number two, we must be weary of the kind of words we hear, and the kind of things we hear. We are preachers. We must, it's not every preacher or every word or everything that we listen to. We must be very careful with the things we listen, because some of them are able to destroy our faith in God and destroy our belief in God. So we must be careful with the things we listen or hear, and the type of preachers we listen to. Now, point number 3 quickly now: Israel unbelief and rebellion against God. Now, there are two questions also that can be drawn from point number 3. First is, how should a Christian use his tongue to fulfill Christ's plan for redemption of humanity? How should we use our tongue? We must use our tongue to exercise faith. We are not expected to express, faithlessness or doubt in the things of God. So we must exercise faith in whatever we say. Like we saw with Caleb and Joshua, they express faith, exercise faith. Our tongue should be seasoned with salt. It should be a word. It should be guided, properly guided, to bring encouragement and not defeat. So as believers, as Christians, our tongue must be a source of encouragement and not discouragement to the people. Now, finally, now, question number 7: how can we learn? What can we learn from Caleb's spirit of wholehearted education to God's word and service of His faithfulness to the promise of God? There are so many things we can learn there. Number one, that God so for Joshua and Caleb to have gotten to promised land at old age proved that God is faithful in his promise. No matter how delayed it is, he will surely come to pass. And not only that, we also saw that God rewards only those who overcome, who actually overcome. So those to the end, those that overcome to the end will wear the crown. So we must ensure that we keep fighting, keep struggling until we wear the crown. So we will not backslide. Not only that, we also saw here that God is also merciful and also is a God of judgment. That whatever a man sows, he reaps. So God's judgment comes upon those that defaulted. Thank you for listening. I pray God will help us as we do His work. We will not doubt God. We will not live in unbelief. We will live our life as God, in God's way, not our own way. God expects that as believers, we don't do things our own way. We do things in God's way. By if you continue, if you continue to look at things your own way, you will begin to have problem with God, and that is why some of us have lost our communication, our communion with God, because we do things our own way. And God is telling you today that begin to do that, look at Him and live. So, as a Christian, if any man be in Christ is a new creature, you are now doing things in God's way. So, what we learned here is that there is a repercussion, there is a consequence of doing things our own way. Try to do things in God's way, and God's way is the way of faith in God. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed day.